Today, what I would like to talk about, divide and conquer. And there is a great push to divide, because that's the only way for those who are ruling the earth now, because certain powers have been given over to them and it's coming to the end of it. The only way for them to sustain their rulership is to make sure that everybody who is waking up, because everyone is, the time has to come that everybody wakes up, because they have to wake up in order to make a choice. And so in our scriptures, it tells us that in the last days, the Spirit of Yahweh will be poured out upon everybody. So, well, it has to happen. It doesn't come all at once, but it increases. It increases. Because these guys know their time is short, they have also come out with certain deceptive practices. And these guys are very subtle, very hard to detect. So based upon how they're moving about trying to solidify rulership or hold upon their kingdom, so also the Spirit of Yahweh is revealed to shine light upon what they're doing. So now these guys are very smart, so they're going to use the very same light that's being put out there. And because you and I are waking up, they're going to use the very thing that we are waking up to, and the light that we're attracted to, they're going to use that in a very corrupted manner to actually direct us off. So the whole objective is to keep you divided so they could conquer. Now, we have Adam and Eve, because it's the same situation that's been played out. Okay. So if we go back to Adam and Eve, everything is not spelled out in our scriptures in those very few verses, or very few chapters and verses. But Adam and Eve came in here to replenish something that started going south. And they were given certain instructions. Okay, now they didn't have to receive the instructions such as, well, someone sat them down and went ahead and then told them a whole bunch of stuff. No, Adam and Eve agreed while they were, being in a greater body, to assist in this mission. And of course, they had a ruler of that body. So they came in, and of course we came in with Adam. And of course, the scriptures tell us that woman was taken out of man. But really all that was taken out of Adam, which as we looked at the man that was filled with the demons and the grand deeds, physical vessels were put together, and the consciousness that which was in Adam was also put into these different vessels that they had the power to create at that time. So what was actually coming out, it says a rib. Okay. And if you look at rib is like the ribonucleic acid kind of thing. It's the RNA that actually follows the DNA. So that which was in are the instructions of DNA. So, and brings the same pattern. That's all it was really happening. So Adam was really, Adam's body that came out of him was going to carry the same pattern that was within Adam. And Adam was a form of rib, if you will, or RNA, which was following a pattern that was actually sent Adam in here, which was Yahweh. So now the reason why that was done is because certain ones that was already here actually moved off in a manner which caused them to become stuck. So this is why we're doing what we're doing, because they got stuck, and the creation was going in a direction of going south. So we came in here, and We were going to fix that. That was our duty. But it just so happens that those who were here already, they were able to entice us, or they were able to entice Eve, and even the collective Eve, to follow what they were doing so we could exercise the powers that's innately already in us and not follow the instructions to redeem those who were already in here. Now, this is something that we have to look at, because now what is happening is that which was over the whole mission to redeem everyone, it already had in it that everyone had to function as a unit. But if someone else came in and caused them not to function in that same union, then it would have to, the whole mission would simply fall, because now there wouldn't be just one instruction in there. There'd be two instructions or instructors, but they would be opposing ends. This was what was taking place. Now, when you look at the orders way above that, it's all for the one common good, if you will. But in this place that Adam and Eve are at, they can't just force that which have gone south to do right, because everyone has to choose. So they have to show and bring forth that bread, so people will choose to come out of the pit that they have fallen into, because they really love the pit of darkness. So they gotta show them the light, and as they love the light, they'll come out of the pit of darkness, because they see that the darkness is enough, and they will come out on their own. Now, Adam was not deceived. Adam made the choice, because there's no way for the mission to go forth without his body. Okay, and he didn't want to leave his body, because it's his entire body. It's not like it's a hand or a toenail or whatever that he cut off and go on. No, it's his entire body. The head without the body is nothing. So he went ahead and took the plunge, knowing that they could redeem later. They could pay for their issues later and come out. Now, all this is in the scriptures, but it's coded in what you see about Adam and Eve. Okay? Adam was already in here with Eve hundreds of thousands of years before the fall. They were working. Now, if you will with me, turn over to 2 Kepha. They're working to get certain things done. And as they worked over this long period of time, things were taking place. It was working, because it says Eve was the mother of all living. That means a mother is that which brings forth a fruit. So all the living was from her, and they made up the whole body of Adam as you would a family, if you would. And she was considered the one who brought them forth. No different than Adam brought her out of him, and she brought them out of her. Yahweh brought Adam out of himself. It's all a pattern. It's just an onion going all the way down to us today. But we have gotten ourselves stuck. Now, in 2 Kepha, or 2 Peter, let's look at verse 1. Now, these guys are here, and they have an objective, and they know a lot more than we do. It says, but there were also false prophets amongst the people. Now, they were amongst everybody else. They didn't necessarily have to be in your home or in your church, whatever, or your social gathering. Yes, they could be there too. It could happen in that mix too, but they could simply be individuals who you and I would listen to, who would cast a spell upon us through deception, much as many governments do today with their people, because they have an objective to do something, and that objective is an objective from a higher order that's controlling them, to keep the people divided so they will keep them conquered. So, so not taking anything out of someone who could be in your home doing this, or someone who could be in your social gathering who could do this, just putting it out there that we could look further than that, okay? So false prophets amongst the people, just as there will be false teachers amongst you, and they don't have to be of your social gathering, who will secretly bring in damnable heresies, even denying the Redeemer, who brought them, or the Redeemer is Yahweh. Okay, it's not Yahshua. Yahshua was used as the price for the redemption. Okay, so if they deny Yahshua or Yahweh, it's the same thing. They're denying the Redeemer, but they're denying that there was a price that was paid, and they're denying that someone actually used somebody else as that price. Okay, who brought them, bringing swift destruction upon themselves. The destruction is not them being beaten up or whatever the case is, all that stuff. That's not really what it is. Destruction is more blindness than anything else, and causing situations to come forth that we move into a space that would bring forth what we call perdition, or certain individuals being subject to what you call a left-hand frequency, or what I call a left-hand frequency, that will cause them to actually have to be in a place that they're weeping and gnashing of teeth, because, hey, they now have been put into a situation for a very long time period that they're going to have to balance or come to balance by paying for all that they had put upon people, because in everything there has to be balance. So if they cause something to happen, it's upon them to bring it to balance. Nobody else could pay for it except for them. So they have to go into perdition in order to pay for this, or what the Bible calls perdition, for them to pay for it. It says, and many will follow their destructive ways, and because of them the way of truth will be evil spoken of. You can see that happening today. The way that is actually set up for you and I to walk, and which Yahweh has set together, okay, a path, showing us, okay, listen, if you want to be redeemed, listen to what I'm saying. I know that you think you know, but you really don't know. You have been actually put into a place that you really just think you know, and you have confidence in that you know, but trust me, you really don't know. Follow these instructions and follow them clearly, and I will direct you out of here. This is actually what Yahweh is saying. This is the covenant. If you do it, then you're going to show me that you're one with me. This is the love, guys. The love is a unit, the oneness. Okay? And if you love me, hey, my spirit also flows freely to you, because you're open to me, and if you're open to me, I could flow there. But if you're blocked, there's nothing I could do. I can't flow through you, and you can't express me because I can't give you anything because you're not open to me. So now we go a little further here now, because the way that Yahweh tells us to do things, it's going to be evil spoken of. So in the last days, you're going to have all these spirits that come out, and they're going to cause people to become lovers of themselves rather than lovers of the way that Yahweh has already set things up. Okay? They're going to want their way to move forward. They're going to break covenants, because those who are running things have actually programmed them or have used them in such a manner that they suggest certain ill concepts so long that it actually made inroads into the individual's psyche. And so it has gone into the subconscious area, and now what it's doing is producing into the conscious world. And the individuals, they can't detect it, because we have to wake up to it. We have to wake up to it, and we have to see it. And then when we see it, we have to choose not to partake of it. The only problem today, we're usually we are usually taken or captivated by it because of our egos. And now where we find ourselves is that we want to dabble in the passions and desires of this thing, which is the energy of the world, and we love it. And when it comes to doing something that Yahweh says to do, going back to what Yahweh says to do, we make excuses. In other words, we sear the conscience to hold on to what we want to, despite what Yahweh says. Well, if I'm doing that, their objective has been fulfilled within me, and they will continue to divide and conquer because I'm going to want to do something other than what the Father has pretty much said. Okay, in verse 3 it says, now, in their covetousness, they will exploit you with feigned words. Words that are real, it's really nothing, okay? It's a promise here or there, or it may be something that sounds really great. It sounds very similar to what Yahweh says, but it's not really what Yahweh says. Okay? Adam and Eve got caught up in this. It may be something that Yahweh did say, but that's not the context that it was the Spirit is in. That's how Adam and Eve got caught off guard. Okay? When the Spirit came to Yahshua, it told Yahshua in the same manner. Yahweh said, if you do this, he will save you. He said, your foot will not, be dashed against the stone. Well, was that a lie? No, it was true. Yahweh did say that. However, Yahweh did also say, don't tempt him with that. So they're going to come and they're going to tell you something that Yahweh did say, or the Spirit, and it's not again something that Yahweh says, until you look a little further into it. Then it's going to be very plain. But Yahweh is not taking this away, because Yahweh at this time comes to test you and I to see if we love the union of Yahweh with all our heart, soul, and might, and will give ourselves to it, or whether we do not. He already told us that. He says, if these things are coming, these guys that's deceiving people come and they tell you to do something other than what I say to do, and they're doing it, don't support them. Yahweh has come to test you. Well, what is it? Are we going to support them when they move off the course that Yahweh has already plainly says, do A, don't do B. Do C, don't do D. And they want us to do B and D. We got to look at it in this manner. So we're going here now. So they have these words, feigned words, that are deceptive. Gets you and I to bite, if you will. Their condemnation will not linger, and their destruction will not slumber. That means at that time period, they're going to receive their judgment. Now, we go a little further now. It says, for Yahweh did not spare the Malachim who sinned, but cast them. This book says, will cast them. Now, this happened. This is why we're in the situation we're in right now, because we are all like the Malachim, as Yahshua said. He said, you will be as the Malachim. Well, the Malachim are servants, and depending on what level they are, then it's going to depend on the servitude that they're in. You and I are Malachim if we are doing what Yahweh says to do in this earth. That's what a priest is. He's a Malachim. He's a Malach. He's a servant of that which is over him. Okay. Now, the sons were also Malachim because they were doing what the Father said. So they're also Malachim. So we are all Malachim if we're serving in that area. And if we're serving other than Yahweh, well, we are actually servants to that thing. Okay, so here goes now. It says, for if Yahweh did not spare the Malachim who sinned. What is sin? Sin is going off course of a determined rule, okay, that has been set and established. So our sin is a transgression of the law that has been set and established. So the Malachim, or those who came in first, did not want to stay under this governing law, and they exercised their own power that's innately in them to do something different. Well, this caused a problem, and everything started going south. Okay, what happened now? Because of what was done, they were cast into darkness. This is a natural thing that takes place. Okay, so they were cast into the abyss. Okay, delivering them into chains of darkness to be reserved for judgment, which comes at the end of the age. So they're going to do certain things all along now. But remember, these are Malachim. Not all the Malachim did this, just certain ones. So we got to look at what the Malachim are now. Okay, so certain ones did this. So he says here now, he's moving further from the Malachim. He says, and did not spare the ancient world, but saved Noah. Now, was Noah part of the ancient world? Of course he was. He was living in the ancient world. Other people were around him. They had legs, they had arms, they spoke the same language. They were his contemporaries. The only difference is he didn't choose to do what they did. Well, kick back up to verse 4 again. The Malachim and all other Malachim were the same type. They were all Malachim before they fell in here. Some did not do what others did. That's the only difference with them. And so there was a lowering. But as they lowered, they were expressing themselves in another dimension or through another frequency. And so now what you have people who are actually expressing themselves through a frequency that's coming to them. Okay, so some of them put themselves in bodies. Okay, some, and it's just depending on what bodies they put themselves in. Somebody descended further into the physical matter and got stuck there. Some didn't come all the way down into the physical flesh, but probably stayed in the astral level, which you have bodies there too, and because your scripture tells us that. Okay, it says, hey, if this tabernacle is destroyed, Shaul said, I have another tabernacle. That's with Yahweh. So it's telling you that there are many bodies. Okay, so there are bodies in the astral level, and there are bodies in the physical level. And so being in a body, whatever, they're going to express themselves based upon the consciousness that they're having or that they have at the time. But what I want you to see is that they were simply doing something that other contemporaries of themselves did not do. And so they did not fall into the same rut. Now, so we have Noah. Noah was spared, but others weren't spared. They were simply individuals who now were expressing, based upon them coming into bodies in the earth, they were expressing what they wanted to express. But Noah did not express what everybody else was expressing. So Noah, notice, a preacher of righteousness, bringing the flood on the world of the unrighteous, and condemned the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah to destruction by reducing them to ashes, and in this way made them an example for those who afterwards would live unrighteously. Now, Sodom and Gomorrah, okay, Lot came out of Sodom and Gomorrah. What was the difference there? Everybody who was around Sodom and Gomorrah were also human beings, just like Lot and his family. The only difference was Lot didn't choose to do what everybody else did. So the Malachim, okay, who fell, and Yahweh says he makes them, he'll make certain ones a little lower than the Malachim, as he did with Adam. Well, before they were made lower than the Malachim, they were at the Malachim's level. And the only difference was those who didn't stumble, they weren't made lower than the Malachim. They weren't put in chains of darkness. Okay? Those who listened to Yahweh were spared, and the flood didn't get them. But they were, everybody else was their contemporaries. Those who were spared in Sodom and Gomorrah were all part of the culture that was there. Simply, some of them didn't desire to do what everybody else was doing, and they were spared. So we look at verse 7 now. But delivered righteous Lot, who was deeply grieved by the filthy conduct of the wicked. So now, the wicked now are those who knew better, but decide to do something different. Okay, the scripture tells us that in the parable of the talents, he called one of the servants wicked. He says, "You wicked servant, you knew what your master wanted you to do, and so you did something different." So that's the biblical definition of wicked. So these guys who were wicked, they knew what was supposed to be happening, but somewhere along the line they went off course, and they went off course as a culture. It's not like one or two of them went off course. No, they went off course as a culture. And so Lot was in this culture. He couldn't bear it. Well, you and I are in a culture right now. A culture of individuals who are also human beings. They're also children of the Most High, but they don't know exactly what they do. And you are waking up to the fact of what's going on. Well, you can't do everything together anymore. You can't do everything together. Because what they're going to be trying to do, they have a spirit that's wanting to divide. The spirit that is moving up in them wants to divide so they could stay in control and direct you and I where the Father is not directing us to. Conquer us. That's what they want to do. Now, if you look at Adam and Eve, and why Adam and Eve fell now, let's go over to Mark real quick. It's the same thing that's going to happen all the times. Okay, go to Mark chapter 3. Okay, and let's look at verse 26. Okay, verse 20. Let's go to verse 25. 24. I'm sorry. So it says, if a kingdom is divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. In other words, if we're not gathered together in the same name, but we gather together in different names, okay? Well, I want Yahweh, you want, I'm saying whatever Yahweh is saying, and you're saying whatever Guru Swami is saying. It's probably not going to work if Guru Swami is not saying what Yahweh is saying also. In verse 25, if a house is divided against itself, that house cannot stand. So if Adam and Eve now are of the house of Yahweh and they allow something else to come in, it's going to be a natural thing that's going to be taking place. If the Malachim that were first here doing certain things, if they didn't stay in the house of the one who directed them in here, if they didn't stay there, hey, something is going to take place. There's going to be some divisions there, and we're going to find that certain things are going to fall apart. So those who have us in the area that we have come to right now, their objective is to keep the division so they could keep us conquered. This is why there has to be competition in their world. There has to be these two horns of our political horns, if you will, Democrats and Republican in the United States. but you have it all over. Just call it, they just call it different names. And if anybody else tries to come in, they can't play the game. Okay? And if they do let somebody in, you'll find out that they're really off one of these guys anyway, or they can't play the game. They won't even let them on the ballot. So we have these guys that's here to play this game, and they're here to to bring us mentally into the focus of what is going on in the earth. So we have to focus on what's going on in the earth if that's all we see in front of us, unless we decide to take our focus away from there and put it on what Yahweh has told us to do, which is his laws. So they're going to show us all of the vision that's amongst them. They're going to create sports, and these guys are going to be stars. Okay, certain ones are going to have real great physical abilities, and they're going to be stars. And we're going to be fans or fanatics of them. We're going to be looking at them instead of looking at the laws. So we're going to be looking at these stars that's shining. And they're competing against each other, and they're fighting, and all the glory is coming from what a man could do with his physical talents. But they keep the people's minds divided. Because I have chosen the New York Giants. This other guy have chosen the Cowboys. And we aggravate each other simply because one of us like the Cowboys and one of us like the Giants. Or it may be the Yankees and the Mets. Or it may be this NASCAR driver and this other NASCAR driver. Or this hockey player and this another hockey player. Now, this is all over everywhere. If we go to school, we find that there's one school that's against another school. And we have those children even sometimes get into fights simply because one chose a school or goes to one school, and and now somebody else goes to another school. There are fights that break out. In soccer, you have this, I mean, it is crazy in soccer. You have people tearing up stadiums when their teams lose, all from that same spirit. And they don't know what's really going on because this has been slowly but surely projected upon the people, and the people have been programmed in it. They don't see it, okay? But the objective is to keep your minds and my mind and our emotions in a state that we can come together. Why? Because Yahweh is one. Yahweh is a unit. Yahweh demands or requires that we come together in order for his spirit to work amongst us. Where two or three of you are gathered together, there I am in the midst. So it requires something for us to come together so that spirit could move all about us and we could use it. Or else you're going to be using it by yourself, and it's not as strong as when it is combined with other minds that has the same outlook. Yahweh already told us where it's going to be at. So if kingdoms are divided, there's going to be a problem. So, and that's what they want. They want the kingdom, our kingdom, to be divided. The kingdom of Yahweh that you're supposed to be expressing. So in 26 now, it says, so if Satan has risen against himself, he is divided and cannot stand. Satan has come to an end. The thing is, though, Satan has a job to do. Satan simply has a job to do. And nothing is going to stop Satan from doing that, because the job has been given to Satan from that which is above. Now, so what are they going to do? How do they do this? Now, there's something that we got to look at. Now, the scripture tells us that in order for a strong man, for someone to take a strong man down, he has to first bind that strong man. Now, that strong man is not someone necessarily physical, because Yahshua is used pretty much just using that which is physical that we could actually relate to talk about something that is spiritual. But the strong man that he's talking about is someone who is powerful in mentally or spiritually engaging in spiritual combat. Okay? One that the power of Yahweh will stand on that one's behalf, because that one simply, like we talked about last week, if we do what Yahweh says, okay, Yahweh is going to do give us what we ask for. So that person is powerful in the way that of Yahweh. He's ready to unleash whatever it is that is in what Yahweh allows. He's ready to bring that forth and to make progress, or to save himself, okay, or to save somebody else. This is an engaging strength that is always there and is immediately available from Yahweh when we're doing what Yahweh says. And we have come to that point. And this always accomplishes what Yahweh has given someone to do. That's what it does. It always accomplishes it, because if you are saying, okay, well, I'm going to be exclusively for Yahweh, okay, and then we do it, Yahweh says, listen, if you're going to do what I say to do, I'm going to give you. Because everything that you are going to be asking for is what I want anyway. So why wouldn't I give it to you? That's what Yahshua told us. Now let's go over to 1 John. Okay? 1 John chapter 5. So Yahweh is going to give to the individual what that individual asks for, and that individual now is going to be the strong man. But before in order to take that strong man down, they have to first bound that strong man. So they have to get into that strong man's mind and get Yahweh to not protect that strong man. So if I would get in there and I could do something that Yahweh's arms does not cover me anymore, then they could bring me down. They have just divided the head from the body, because now they have got me chasing after what they want me to chase after, and I have forgotten my first love. In chapter 4 of John, 1 John, chapter 5 of 1 John, let's look in verse 4. So these spirits that comes to us, they are the spirits of the world. Remember, we looked at those spirits that's under the altar, okay? Okay? Are those spirits that's outside the altar, going towards that which is further out towards the where the Gentiles gather and out into the world? Remember, we looked at that, and we saw that, and we discussed that everything outside of this was going into spirits that's in the earth. And the further away you got from the altar, the more demonic activity that you would have. Okay, so as we come to the altar, we meet the higher person. So yeah, there's still struggles that are there, but it's not in the same manner as when you go outside the temple, outside there. Now there are really some issues out there. Okay, but when you come and you have engaged with your higher self, now you could see and you could make the sacrifice and not engage in things that's way outside the temple walls or the temple confines, because where all the Gentiles are at and where the world is at, you don't have to deal with those spirits, because you have chosen to draw near to Yahweh, and drawing near to Yahweh is going to be at that altar of sacrifice, where you have to meet yourself. Okay, that's part of the fire that's going to be there. You have to meet yourself, because we have to sacrifice it. because we have to be that which is dedicated solely to Yahweh. Now, the only problem is our ego has been hijacked, and it wants to do what the world does. So we have to, through our minds, control this ego and allow this ego now to make the sacrifices to Yahweh and not seek the world anymore. So in First John chapter 5, this is in verse 4. So if we're doing what Yahweh says to do, look what happens. And whoever is begotten of Yahweh, okay, that's whoever is seeking in this manner and engages at the altar, comes to the altar to give self up and receives a spirit. That spirit is the seed. The seed. Now that seed is in your higher self. And you come to that higher self at the altar when you start to give up your lower person. So you receive something, the seed. And with that seed, it's the only begotten Son that you're receiving. You are begotten. You haven't been born back into what you were before, but now you have a spirit that's going to be directing you. And this is all that we're talking about when we come to the feast days. You come to when in the first moon, you have the 10th day of the first moon that you pen up the lamb. The lamb is the only begotten Son. Okay? Then you're going to take the lamb's life on the 14th day. You're going to take on that lamb's life. Now, if you take that lamb's life to yourself, you are begotten. This is your begetting of that spirit. And so now the rest of it down to the 7th is bringing you into the marriage and the oneness, but you're begotten at that time. So here we are, we're begotten. Whoever overcomes, whoever is begotten of Yahweh overcomes the world. And this is the conquering power that has overcome the world. Faith. He who is Yahweh gave. Who is he who overcomes the world? But he who believes that Yahshua is the Son of Yahweh and believed in what Yahshua said, who died and left an example for you and I to follow, for us to come to the real altar. Remember, David already told us that, listen, man, sacrifice and Yahweh and offering you don't want. You have opened my eyes to that, David said. He said, when we're able to see through this, then we will be able to make real sacrifices. David said that. True sacrifices, which are not the sacrifice of the animals. Okay, so true sacrifices. Now you're doing true sacrifices when you're waking up to Yahweh. You come to the altar and you're able to put self down. This is a true sacrifice. Now, when you're able to make this sacrifice and receive the spirit of the only begotten Son, I shouldn't say you receive it, but you start to become awakened to it, because it's always there. It's in you. It's the Logos. The Logos is around everything. There's nothing that is not around the Logos. If you wonder why twins could be in different areas of the planet and something happens to one and the other one knows it, it's because of the Logos, the same spirit. But they are tuned into that a little bit more. Animals have the same thing. You have animals, when something happens to their offspring, someplace far away, they know. When it's afraid or whatever, they know. A lot of these animals. Not every single one. It's just, the consciousness that Yahweh has put within that animal. They know. Why? Because there's an energy that's moving and pervading through everything. And once you and I are tapped into that energy field, which we were before, and now we're just closed off, and we need to awaken again to it. It's like you have the information highway, but it's not what Mark Zuckerberg is giving you or these guys on the internet is giving you. It's the true highway, spirit. Okay? So Once you're making the sacrifice, you're begotten. You have the seed. The seed comes in you. The seed of Yahweh remains in the individual, and now it becomes possible for that person to overcome. For them not to overcome, they would have to make the choice, just as Adam did, because you know, once you get there, you could still make the choice. It's yours. That's your birthright. To not follow a certain way. You could make the choice. Okay. So now we had, if we go to Numbers now, you could make the choice. Let's go to Numbers. Okay, and remember what we're talking about here. There are things that takes place to divide us. Okay, so now you and I are making the sacrifice, and let's say Moshe he has done that, and he has been opened up. Okay, now Yahweh's directed him. It doesn't mean issues will not come in your space. It still does. Let's go to what Moshe now, Yahweh took him, and Yahweh says, go into this place right here and get my people. Well, he went in there to get the people, okay? Many of his people came out. Of course, not all of them did. Some of them stayed in there. And other people who were not even Israelites came out with them. And he's directing them now. And remember, he already told them, listen, don't do what you're doing here today. Everybody do what's right in their own eyes. We have to come together for Yahweh to function amongst us. For there to be some functionality in spirit, we have to come together. Okay? These guys who are all around, they're going to be working against this body, which is Moshe's body, which are the children of Israel. Yahweh made Moshe the head, okay? And that's ordained by Yahweh. Just like every husband, he's going to be the head. Why? Because that's ordained by Yahweh. If he doesn't do his job, he's worse than an infidel. If he gives it over to his wife, hey, then she's going to take it. Okay? So here goes chapter 16 of Numbers. Okay? So Moshe now has been given the job to go in and save these people. Now in chapter 16, look what happens here. And Yahweh is not going to necessarily take that away because everybody has their own choice. Notice here. Now Korah, son of Ishah, the descendant of Kohath, son of Levi, is a Levite of the priesthood. And certain descendants of Reuben, Dathan, and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, and on the sons of Pele, used and won men. Do you see this? Used and won them. Those spirits that's in the world today, that's exactly what they do. They use and win people and use those people to come against you. You have to understand what those people are, because those people are still your brothers and sisters. Okay? They may not be the ones who are going to be offered to Yahweh right now, but they are going to be used, and Yahweh is not going to stop it. He says here in verse 2, he says, and they rose up against Moshe. With them were 250 leaders. Now, 250 leaders, guys, this is not people that's in the congregation. These are leaders, so there's a lot more than 250 people. Leaders of the congregation of the children of Israel, representatives of the congregation, men of renown, great influence, powerful. Now, this could easily get Moshe to say, okay, guys, you guys win. We'll do it your way. This is a great test before Moshe. Is he going to hold the way that Yahweh said to do it? Or is he going to go the way that they say to do it? This is very powerful. Will he stand on the word of Yahweh, or will he fold? Yahweh has allowed this test to come before Moshe. Now, he had a lot of them to come before Moshe previously with his wife. Well, Moshe is under fire. He has come to the altar, and fire must always be burning on the altar. So he goes a test now. They gathered together to oppose Moshe and Aaron, and said to them, "You have gone too far. The whole congregation is holy, every one of them, and Yahweh is with them. Why then do you exalt yourself and self yourself above Yahweh the Son?" Now he's right in some regards here, because he says the whole congregation is holy. You and I have to know that everybody is holy. Yes, the drug addict is holy too. He may not be doing holy things. He may not be in a body that's holy, but that which is in him has come from that which is holy. And guess what? It has to remain holy. But that which is the things that is expressed in the earth does not get presented to the Father, because it's not doing what the Father wants. So it has to be broken off. It has to be kept away. But when that person wakes up, remember, all Israel will be saved. All of humanity is going to be saved, because they belong to that which is holy, and they're going to come back. Now, while they're expressing themselves in the earth or in the flesh, now they are cut off. They don't know that which is in them. They don't know who they are. They've lost their minds. But when they wake up, they again make the decision. However, some of us wake up before others, because we simply have to go as the first fruits to get things moving. So Joshua came in, just as Adam had done, and he led everybody in here. And when he actually took the plunge, he took the plunge to actually lead everybody further. But there is a redemption that he's going to want to be part of. And so he's going to direct everybody out of here too. So he comes out, and then the first fruit unto him is his body. Eve, the woman that goes into the wilderness, and she is nourished, and she brings forth the son. The son she brings forth is the seed that's within her, that she's begotten with, and she brings forth the seed. Guess what the seed is? The seed is the only begotten Son. So everyone could receive of that only begotten Son, and that Son is a king. The Son is a king. When she goes to the altar and receives her higher self, guess what's in the higher self? For every last one of us. Everything is of the only begotten Son, because nothing is done without it. Everything that which is done is done. It's the Logos. It's the Logos. Okay? And in every part of creation, there is a Logos. Okay? And as you get higher, there's a higher Logos. The next higher than that one is another Logos that's over every other Logos beyond under it. It's just a replication until you get to the supreme Logos. Okay, so now we're at chapter 16 here. So this guy's challenging Moshe. He says everybody's holy. Well, everybody is holy. Let's go over to Romans. And I make that point real quickly, and then I'm gonna stop. Okay, so go to Romans chapter 11 and look at verse 16. Verse 16, he says, now if the first hand of dough offered as the first fruit is holy, so is the whole mass. So what they did, they would take a handful from the whole mass, and they would present that handful in front of Yahweh, before Yahweh. The point that Shaul is making here, okay, that which is taken from it, where did it come from? It came from those who were its contemporaries already. The Malachim who stayed holy, they were part of the contemporaries of Malachim that fell. Those who Noah was chosen with Noah, which was presented before Yahweh, they were part of the contemporaries that died. Those who were taken out as Lot, who were spared from everything else, they were part of the contemporaries that got all the fire and brimstone upon them. They weren't representing themselves as holy individuals, but within, that which is in them came from the supreme order, which is also holy. So Shaul is trying to show us something here. They're all holy. Notice here now. And if the root is holy, so are the branches. Now, this is a situation that takes place, at least for now. Now, if some of the branches were broken off because the life that was in the root wasn't going to them, or for whatever reason they got taken off. Okay, so let's say you have a tree, some limbs got all dried up and died. You cut those off, so the tree could be more productive. And let's say you want to trim it so it becomes more bushy, whatever the case is. Yeah, some gets taken off. Let's say a storm comes through and breaks some of your limbs off. Hey, they were broken off for whatever reason. No, but you graft others in. Okay, so he goes now and okay, now if some of the branches were broken off, and you, though a wild olive shoot, have been grafted in among the others and become partakers of the root. The Father is the root. The Logos is the root. Okay? And riches of the olive tree. Here goes, do not boast against the branches. Do not boast against the branches. If you do consider this, you do not support the root, but the root supports everything. The root supports everything. For the root is the glory, the honor, everything. Let's go over to Numbers so we could understand this a little bit better. Numbers chapter 15. Okay, Numbers chapter 15. And let's look at verse 20. 15 and verse 20. Now Moshe set this up, of course, as a pattern of heaven. Of course, and Moshe set this in order as ceremonies, rituals. 15 and verse 20. Numbers 15 and verse 20. It says, present a cake from the first of your ground meal, and present it as an offering from the threshing floor. This is a portion that is being taken out, and this portion is being presented before Yahweh. Now it says here, and present it as an offering from the threshing floor. Well, this could be saying two things. Present it as an offering from the threshing floor, because you're going to make cakes with this, guys, okay? Or present it as you presented the offering that you presented from the threshing floor. Now let's go over to Leviticus. Look at this. So the cake that is presented is not everything that is presented. You took something, a certain dough, certain portions. Now hold on, let's go back over to Numbers, because I think we need to look at another scripture to bring this into focus a little better. Okay, so we read 20. Okay, and let's go to verse 19. It says, when you eat of the food of the land, because you got to present to Yahweh, present a portion. It's a portion that you take out, but it's taken out from all that you already got. So if you take out a portion to be presented before Yahweh, what about the rest of it? Is it not also holy? No, but you chose, it is holy, but you chose a certain amount to bring forth to Yahweh, to present before Yahweh. And present this as an offering. Now, in this here, it says, that which is lifted off or separated to the requirements of the sanctuary. So this is which is separated. However, just because it's separated doesn't mean that everything else is not holy. No, that means it's selected from whatever was already there. You and I, if we do what the Father said, we are also separated. So now we have to be separated from the land, the people of the land who are also holy in spirit, in soul, but they don't know this. And just like the nature of the shark, if you go amongst the shark and you're not careful, you're going to be bit. They're no different than these people. These people are no different than the shark, per se. The nature that's within them is that which have been taken off to keep things divided. But you have to come out of all that, and you have to come together as one. Separated. And Yahweh's choosing those who are going to serve in spirit and truth and not going to put their face to the world. Now let's go over to Leviticus here. Leviticus chapter 23. And this is going to probably be my last scripture. Leviticus 23, verse 10. Okay. So now we're coming to the first moon, and we're getting into the first moon. Okay, and there's a holy convocation that has to be brought forth. And when that comes into order, then there is a sheaf that has to be presented. This is in the first moon where you become begotten, and now you're going to be moving in a certain mode and frequency and expressing your Father, moving on to Pentecost, moving on to trumpets, moving on to atonement, moving on to tabernacles, moving on to last great day, the spiritual part of that. So in 23 and verse 10, speak to the children of Israel and say to them, when you come into the land which I am giving you, and you reap the harvest, then you shall bring a sheaf of the first fruit of your harvest to the priest. To the priest. This is you approaching the higher self, because that is your priest. Not your high priest, but your priest. You're approaching your higher self, and you're bringing this. It's going to be accepted on your behalf, because you're making the choices here to once again engage your Father so he can wake you up and wake me up. Do what he says. Okay, so now this sheaf is not yet bread. This sheaf is just what's taken from a portion of what was already there. But this portion is going to be presented before Yahweh. Now, this right here is the Malachim are doing the very same thing. Just as the children of Israel did this, the Malachim are the reapers now, spiritually. And the Malachim are going to be directing this whole engagement based upon the ones who seek, the one who immerse themselves in this. The Malachim are the reapers. Now look in verse 11. And he shall wave the sheaf in front of Yahweh to be accepted for you or on your behalf. So your efforts could be accepted. The very fact that now you and I have come to the point that we're saying, okay, the first day is I'm going to get on this path. The 10th day, I'm going to consider what I have to do, which is the lamb, okay? Pen this lamb about me, which is the only begotten Son, and I'm going to take the life. I'm going to take on this life. And this is your begetting. Taking this in, because it's the spirit that you're taking in. This spirit is going to wake you up. This is the spirit that adopts you into the Father. Okay, the spirit of adoption. Okay, so he goes now. So, and he shall wave the sheep in front of Yahweh to be accepted. On the day after the first holy Sabbath, the priest shall wave it. Now, this whole thing is an initiation, or you would call an inauguration. Giving you the Spirit, this Spirit comes with a power. Comes with a power. It's the seed of your Father. And as long as that seed is in you, you have the power to overcome. Now we have to feed it. We have to feed it. We just can't say, okay, we come here, okay, I'm selected. That's good. So I'm going to go do my thing now. No, we have to feed it, because everything that we're going to be doing, we have to be coming closer and closer into the unit of one, because we know something is going on. Those who also know this area right here and know that you're going to give yourself to your Father, their objective is to divide and to keep you conquered.